Yo, what up YouTube? It's Rye. Let me holler at you real quick. Never lose sight of who you are. When you forget who you are, when you forget how you are mentally, spiritually, and internally, you'll accept things that you never accepted. So understand that the goal is you always maintain who you are at your core. Yes, you'll slip up. Maybe you'll make mistakes. Maybe you'll trip and fall. But at least you'll remember who you are, because you remember who you are, you'll be able to use that inner strength to get back up again, because you're not going to want to go out like that. You can't go out like that. When you lose sight of who you are, you lose your sense of direction. Where do I go? How do I pick myself up and keep going? Maybe I should just give up. You lose that. You lose that inner strength. You lose that voice that's in your head that's telling you to stand, fight, defend. That's the difference. So always remember who you are, your core. It doesn't mean that things are always going to be great. It doesn't mean that things are always going to go according to plan. Oftentimes they don't. But when you're faced with a challenge, when you're faced with a strong opponent, with a fierce opponent, you'll be like, oh, I know who I am. I'm not going for that. When someone disrespects you, you stand up for yourself. When someone's trying to pull one over on you, you call it for what it is. You see people for who they are and what they are. So that's the difference. When you remember who you are, your core, you'll never lose those ethics. You'll never lose your morals and your values and your principles. You'll stand by them, you'll defend them, and you'll fight for them. So when people try to get you to do certain things or go about certain things, or maybe when people will try to get you to entertain nefarious acts, you'll be like, no, that's not who I am. When some people might cut corners and do shortcuts or try to hurt people or use dirty tactics on people, they're gonna try to get you to do that. They might even try to employ you to do that because they're like, oh, he or she isn't as nice as they say they are. So that's what it is. When you maintain that code, when you maintain your principles, your values, you're not easily fooled. A lot of people start off with doing the right thing, and then they don't have like fierce. They don't have that inner strength. They don't have that. They're naive, and they aren't able to maintain those ethics. So they're easily swayed into doing things that aren't them. So you might see people be like, why would he do that? Why would she do that? That doesn't even sound like them. They weren't strong-willed. They didn't have a strong will, so they were easily pulled into behind enemy lines. They were easy to break. A lot of people, like in war, they get captured. They won't sell out their country. They'll leave this planet to defend their country. They won't give up their men. They won't give up, their fellow soldiers. They won't. Even if that means they'll, well, we know what happens when, they'll leave this earth. They're willing to leave this earth behind that because they're strong-willed. They're strong-willed for their comrades. They're strong-willed for their country. A lot of people, they break in the interrogation room. They break when people break their spirit. Some people are easily broken. They're easily swayed. And now they're working for the enemies. It's not you. You think, why they turned on me? They weren't strong enough to handle the pressure. They weren't strong enough to maintain. They weren't strong enough for that. They weren't ready for that. They weren't bred for that. But you are. So maintain that and know that coming in, because there are going to get people that are going to try to break you, to get you to go to the dark side. You're gonna get that opportunity of, to join forces with people who you would never even think of. Right now, who you are, your core, you would never think to join someone like that or align with somebody like that. But they're going to try to, if they can't break you, they're going to try to get you to join them. That's why you need to not lose sight of who you are. Because instead of, okay, we can't break him, we can't break her, what if we can get them to work for us? What if we can get her to work for us? So it's another manipulation. It's a tactic of they're breaking you another way. Instead of using it force, they can persuade you to do the dirty work for them. And some people don't even realize it until it's too late. But that doesn't have to be you. But hey, it's Rye. Like, comment, subscribe. I love you, family. We're growing, family. Woo woo. And you got this, homie. It's already yours.